Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Mcdermott. I'm the Director of Communications for the Colorado Department of Higher Education. And I just want to welcome everyone to this is our seventh conversation, our seventh town hall conversation on higher education. I also want to thank Erin McDonald, who's on the call. She helped set all this up. So thanks to Erin. She's our outreach director. And then we also have other staff. Ben Boggs is our chief of staff. We have Freddie Burciaga, he's an outreach director. And then we have Carl Einhaus from our academic side to help us as we talk through Colorado Free Application Day, and we may have some other staff join us in and out. But I want to turn it over to Dr. Angie Piccioni, our executive director.
Great, thanks Megan, and thanks everyone for being on the call, and thanks for those who will see it later. We're very excited to host this town hall meeting for the Jefferson County area and for the students and their families as we look at what are your post-secondary options. What are your options after high school? And so we have some great folks on this call that will be able to answer your questions and provide some good resources and really just to affirm, if you will, the importance of pursuing something after high school. And truly, I say this a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but not that much, that we don't have a stake really in where you go after high school, but we really want you to go somewhere. So whether it's a one-year certificate program, a two-year associate's degree, or a four-year bachelor's degree, go and complete. That is the most important thing. And so today we're going to be talking about how to make that affordable, how to make it doable, and what resources there are for you. And so there'll be some speakers, and I'll come back toward the end to review some of the resources that we have. But I want to start off with some remarks. I'm going to go straight to you, Todd. Principal, is it Rago? Principal Rago at Stanley Lake High School, home of the Gators. And maybe, if you don't mind, Principal, if you could just share some comments around why it's so important to pursue a post-secondary option.
Absolutely. I'd like to speak both as a principal and as a father. Two graduates out of Jefferson County Public Schools, and as my own children have navigated their way through a couple of different systems, I think I can speak to that. But I guess I would like to start with just knowing our school population. We're about 1,300 kids. We're about 35% free and reduced minority. So we've got a gamut of students here across the board. And we have an international baccalaureate program and a large AP contingency of courses. And then of course we've got kids that have no intention of doing that whatsoever. So our challenge has been and continues to be, and I would say that's probably true of most Jeffco schools our size, is just having a nice balance of offerings. So whether that's CTE offerings and certifications, or whether it's going to Harvard, we have to have and meet the needs of every single one of our kids. So what we have tried to do here at Stanley Lake is make sure that we're maximizing that effect. And of course, you have to have the right staff in place to do that. Many buildings our size have what I would call a single point of failure. You've got a great program going perhaps in automotive, and then that teacher goes somewhere else, and now you don't have an automotive program because of certification. So we try to diversify ourselves. At Stanley Lake, that includes a strong culinary program, some computer-based programs, photography, many different CTE offerings at the course level, if not the certification level. But it also includes our IB program. We are a IB school, have been. We're going through our 10-year refresher here. We are also an MYP program, an International Baccalaureate. We are due to be approved for that this year. Very exciting. So the piece about that, and I want to speak about that just a little bit, is International Baccalaureate has allowed us to, across the board, regardless of who you are, meet the needs of students in a little bit different arena than you might expect in your regular high school. And that is we promote service. We promote that you should be creative. We promote that you should be internationally minded. All of those apply to no matter what field you want to go to. We feel that that's really important. So back to my other point of trying to fill the gamut of things, it really doesn't matter which programs are successful in our school. It's that we prepare kids to enter them. And if not, you know, we have a great association with our schools. We're in the north part of Jefferson County. So there's a little bit of competition across the borders, but there are 20 schools in our district. And if you don't like what I have to offer, 20 high schools, 85,000 kids altogether. If you don't like what we have to offer, Pomona right down the road can give you something, or Arvada West, Ralston Valley. There are a number of opportunities for our kids. And I think above all else, that's really the key. It doesn't matter where you're going to school. Pick a place, pick what fits best for you, and go from there. And we're going to continue to do what we do as a school. I have a talented staff, whether we're remote learners or whether we are in the building with our masks on. We're going to do a great job. So I don't know how deep you want.
That's it, and I really appreciate it. And I have to say, I'm a little bit biased because as a former legislator, the first bill that I passed was to give IB diploma graduates 24 was in 2003, and now they often negotiate for even more than 24 credits. And so I'm a big IB fan, and I can see all of the benefits that gives. So I'm glad that's part of your role and mission, both at the high school, but also the middle years program, and perhaps even the PYP, the primary years program, somewhere out there. I know we also have a counselor, a school counselor on, and perhaps, is it Sonia, I think? Maybe you can say some things about navigate high school to their post-secondary options.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome, my name is Sonia Salek for Jeffco Schools, and we also have Matt Calvert. He's a new counselor supporting our counselors as well in the role that they're doing. So their primary focus just in general is to support the career, academic, and social emotional needs of our students. And so when it comes to specifically supporting their transition out of their post-secondary life. One of the tools that we use often is our individual career and academic plan. So really helping students that it really starts in 6th grade, 7th grade, and helping them really start to figure out and explore who are they, what do they want to do, and then essentially how do they get there. So I'm sure Marna and Jen and Bridget and some other folks on here will have the chance to kind of discuss how that all is interconnected. But really our counselors right now have been pivoting and offering the supports that they typically do in a in-person setting in both the hybrid and remote environment. So that's really leveraging technology right now, using different tools to record the families, helping families work through that process. They're also helping with scholarships and completion and all the things that we typically do. We've just kind of pivoted and started providing it in a different manner, in a different way. So I think I'll turn it over to Matt. I don't know if you have a few.
Yeah, that's pretty comprehensive. Yeah, I was just going to reiterate the individual career and academic plan portion starting in 6th grade for our students. This is where we have the ultimate goal as school counselors to have our students make informed career choices, whether that be any post-secondary option or CTE options. And how we do that is through that ICAP process to 8th grade, maximizing and helping students learn those soft skills that they all need to be successful. And then also, as Sonia said, learning about themselves and learning about what career options are available to them. And that's really, hopefully, if we're doing it right, we're using a systems approach beginning in 6th grade, scaffolding and layering those things throughout middle school and high school, so that when they get to be 11th graders and 12th graders, as was said earlier, they have a plan. That's is to have them moving forward.
So important, because if you don't have a plan, then you're left to the winds of the circumstances. But if you have a plan, you can pursue that and execute on that plan and actually achieve and complete a program. And that's what we really hope that people will do. And I know we're going to come back, I think, to Jen or to some of the other folks when we get to the post-secondary resources and things like that. I want to move to President Johnson at Colorado School of Mines. We try these town hall meetings to have some folks from the school district, some representation from our 4-year institutions, and then also from our 2-year. So after Dr. Johnson, we'll hear from Dr. Haney at Red Rocks Community College. So Dr. Johnson, tell us a little bit about why it's such a good choice for Jeffco students.
All right. Well, happy to locate everybody. It won't get any cheaper than this to apply, and this is one of the. Actually, this is one of those things. It's great leadership from our Department of Higher Education. All the universities really believe very strongly that we need to provide opportunities for all the students in Colorado. And so one of the things I was going to say, without sort of bragging a lot about mines, I just want to say we are really lucky to have all of the universities and all of the choices that we have in Colorado. We probably have a broader spectrum than probably any other state that I'm aware of. You've got great choices. All the options vary in size, they vary in location, they vary in what degrees they offer, they vary in cost. But you get to choose from all of those. So, Colorado School of Mines, we're a small school located in Golden, emphasizes science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right? That's our reason to be. We were founded to really provide the engineers and scientists that industry and society need for prosperity. And that's what we've always done for almost, 146, almost 147 years now. So we've been here for a little while. In addition to all those choices in Colorado, the other really cool thing is you don't have to choose just one. So there's lots of great partnerships. You'll hear from Dr. Haney next. And for example, Red Rocks has a great connection to mines. You can start at Red Rocks, work on some of the initial requirements that you have, and transfer very smoothly into a program at Mines and graduate with a bachelor's degree from Mines. So, and there are similar relationships between other schools in the state as well. So you don't have to choose just one of them. I think the other thing that's really true about all of the schools is how much they are focused today on your success. So when a school admits you to their university, they want you to graduate. There's been a lot of great leadership from Department of Higher Education and the legislature in the state for there to be a lot of emphasis on your success. So we all focus on our graduation rates and our retention rates. Today, if you come to Mines, about 80% of the students who start at Mines graduate with a degree from Mines, which, if you compare that across the country, that's a really high completion rate. And we're very proud of that. But that's because of all the support that's in place for all of you to help you through your programs. I think, the other thing that is often on people's minds is whether or not this investment in higher education is worth it. And I have to say, I don't think there's any better investment you can make in your future than higher education. You can think of all the other things you could spend money on. Nothing's going to pay off in the long run and provide more opportunities for you. If you look at the state of Colorado and you look at what's out there, we have a great high-tech industry in the state. We have a great aerospace industry in the state, great health industry, you name it. There's all these opportunities, and all those employers are looking for graduates with credentials. right? And sometimes it doesn't matter if your credential is very specific or not, but having that credential, sort of gives you the credibility for that job that they want to hire you for. So really encourage you to think very, very highly about that. Obviously, Mines has a very strong relationship with industry, so all of our programs have very close ties, and we're preparing students to very specific to aerospace industries, energy industries, and so forth. The other thing that's really good about higher education, I would say, is you're going to build a network. You're going to meet people who are going to be your friends for life and that you're going to cross paths with over and over again. I think that part of things is often overlooked, but coming together and being at an institution where you can get a credential is a great thing to do. So I'll kind of wrap up.
And it's just like, if I
that.
knew what I did, I know what I did.
Yeah. So in any case, I know that sometimes applying for getting your next degrees or credentials is a little confusing, but there's tons of people there here to help you. I've got Lori Kester, who's our Associate Provost for Enrollment Management, here with me today, and she'll be happy to answer any questions later. She's been at a number of institutions in the state, so she knows a lot of the backgrounds of what other schools are doing as well. And as has already been said, I think at the end of the day, find the school that fits you. You've got so many great choices. All the schools are fantastic in the state. I would of course love to see you here at Mines with us, but you have to find what fits you, right? Fit the size that fits you, the location that fits you, and the offerings that you're most interested in. So good luck to everybody. Take advantage of Colorado Free Application Day. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, feel free to contact me directly, and I'll do whatever I can to help you out here at Mines.
That's great. Thank you, President Johnson. And one of the things I really like about Mines is that it's not just for what I call the brainiac. It's not just for that, but you also have a whole plethora of student activities, including athletic program that's really quite successful as well. And so there's many things. You have the very kind of traditional college experience with all of the different activities, and you can also really specialize in those science areas that we need so much. I heard Monday in the cabinet meeting that you have a program that I think Mines is the only school in the country that has a particular program. I couldn't hear all of what was said, that has something to do with aerospace, but it's the only one in the country, and you have it at Mines. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's basically a space. Well, I won't sort of give you the fancy names, but it's basically a space exploration program, and it's called Space Resources. But the idea is that in order for us to explore farther and farther out into the universe, we can't carry everything from Earth. We have to pick up stuff along the way. We're going to have to mine things on other planets, on asteroids. We're going to have to be able to make things in outer space and manufacture stuff. And this program is all about doing that. And you'll find the aerospace industry in Colorado is very focused on those long missions out into the universe. And I can't tell you how excited this generation is about that possibility.
That's great. So congratulations on that. And for those students who are really interested in space exploration, we've got it right here in the state for you. That's why I always say it's your choice, it's your future, but we really want you to stay in our state. So stay home in Colorado and make the most of the opportunities we have here. I want to turn now to Dr. Michelle Haney at Red Rocks Community College. And for many students, community college is a great first step after high school, where they can kind of learn a little bit more about what their interests are. If they don't know specifically they want to go, let's say, into the STEM fields. It's also a good cost-saving way to do that kind of exploration. So tell us a little bit more about Red Rocks.
Thanks, Angie, and also thank you, Paul, for putting in a plug for Red Rocks, because we are real pleased to be both a neighbor of Mines, but also the largest transfer institution into Mines in the nation. So That's a real plus for us. And thank you for allowing me to be here with Jeffco Public Schools, because of course we sit in the middle of Jeffco and we have a great relationship, and we look forward to continuing to grow that. But more about Red Rocks. You know, we only celebrated 50 years, so we have a ways to go before we hit what Mines has done. But we have 2 campuses, one in Arvada and one in Lakewood. We have about 100 different programs and many more certificates that we can offer. I think what's unique is I think people, when they think of a community college, they are more or less thinking stereotypically about what community colleges used to be. You know, now we offer certificates, 2-year degrees, baccalaureate degrees, and for us, we offer a master's degree in our physician assistance program. And we were the only community college in the nation to be able to do that. So we're real proud that we have taken the lead. So our Arvada campus is dedicated to not only the sciences, but all associate degrees. But we also have great labs for our health programs that are there. And we have a huge gamut of health programs that I think are tremendously of interest to our students. We also have made great ladders, and I say ladders because we've worked with Warren Tech, and together we have 9 articulated degrees that we make available to students here at Jeffco. You know, I could go on and on. I just want to mention too that I have Dr. Fowler, Lisa Fowler with me, who is our VP of Student Services. And I also have Josephine and Sarah, who are our navigators and advisors on campus. So they can, you know, answer the difficult question. It's been a challenging year, I think, for all of us, as we've tried to figure out, you know, how we are going to provide the excellence in education that we are known for. We all have experienced online, remote, hybrid, and we're continuing to do that, quite honestly, into the spring semester. We want to be sure that students know that all of our services are remote. So we can provide you with advising, financial aid information, you know, all the things that you might need, either through face-to-face, because we do have some people on that are available on campus during the week. But if you have a preference for going online or remote or on the phone, we have those services available as well. You know, what I think I'm most proud of is certainly that we have small classes that are available to students. We offer huge amount of scholarship opportunities, and many of our Jeffco students have taken advantage of that. And let me encourage you to do that. You know, our application fee is non-existent. So we have free applications every day of the week. So, you know, even though I'm pleased to see that across the state we're doing that today, keep in mind that we all community colleges have free applications every day of the week. I'm trying to think in terms of concurrent enrollment. That's something we're very proud of, that we work with our school districts with, and you know, many of us hope that our students will take more advantage of that. You know, I think as a parent, I had 5 children. I wish all of them had taken advantage of concurrent enrollment. The savings to our parents are just amazing. And we have many students who choose to do that and graduate with an associate's degree as well as a high school diploma all in the same time. What a gift that is from the state of Colorado to our students as we watch them go forward. Right now we have what is called the bridge to baccalaureate degrees. So we have a program that ensures first-time students who are attending Red Rocks guaranteed admission to participating Colorado schools. And the schools that are participating are Colorado State, University of Colorado, Colorado Springs and Denver, Fort Lewis, Colorado Mesa, Regis, Metro State, and Western Colorado. So as they start at a community college, they also can be accepted a guaranteed admission to those institutions. And I think that's what we're really looking forward to, is more and more of those pathways being available for our students. So they don't have to go out of state. They can get their baccalaureate degree, and it really, in terms of saving money, And what we can do to offer that, I mean, is, I think, tremendous. As Paul was talking about aerospace, I did want to mention that we are the first community college to join with another one in another state, happens to be El Camino in California. And together we're putting together the talent pool for aerospace. And so we are working to secure federal funds so we can open up the center. Our hope is that we can combine both cybersecurity as well as aerospace training and provide those technical skills that the industry is looking for. So that'll be new. Hopefully we'll be able to open that in the fall. So maybe it's time, Angie, if I turn it back to you, because my staff certainly can answer questions as they come up.
Yeah, that sounds great, and thank you for that. And we're really excited about the Bridge to Bachelor's program across the state. Just about every community college has a particular path with their local or regional four-year institution, and on top of that, you also have that articulation with Colorado School of Mines for that very specific one. And so we're excited about that. You know, Colorado is the temporary and hopefully the permanent home for the Space Force program and the federal program, and that really puts us on the map as the top state for aerospace and all of the space sciences. And so we want to continue to build that brand in Colorado. The other thing I should let you know, I could do this offline, but I'll do it in front of everybody, but my mom was recently in the hospital, and her PAs, both of her PAs came from Red Rocks. And I was so happy about that because, of course, as you know, I'm such a fan of your program for the physician's assistant program. One was a physician's assistant in neurology, and she was fantastic. And so, so it's a great program that produces great healthcare workers for the state of Colorado. So congratulations to Red Rocks.
Hope your mom is feeling well.
We're getting there, yes.
Okay.
So want to share a little bit about different resources, and this is where we can bring in some of the other experts that are on this call, from both from the district level, from maybe Lori, you might be able to jump in here, and the folks from Red Rocks, to talk a little bit about what's happening in the state of higher education and how students can really navigate this transition. As you know, and as you mentioned, Dr. Haney, that you know, we're living in unprecedented times when we think about COVID-19 and the impact that has had on education, both K-12 and higher education. Higher education, we have been very flexible and agile in terms of the delivery, and both on campus, off campus, hybrid, in person, all different ways to make sure that you are able to continue your education. So we've been doing that as a state. We have had some outbreaks, but we've got them under control. But I like to say, when you put 18-year-olds on a college campus, you're bound to have some transmission of something. And so we certainly did, but we have tamped it down. Some of the off-campus house parties, we've really helped students to convince those students that now is not the time to be doing those things. It's really the time to be focused on education and a small group of friends that you can associate with in your dorms or outside. So I feel like we are doing better than most states in terms of that COVID transmission, and even at the college level, we're doing better than most states. So we've got that under control. One of the things that I really wanted to talk about, of course, we've said it's free application day. So if you're watching this, I hope that means that you've already submitted those applications. And maybe, Carl, if you want to, can you say a few things about free application day? This is our third year of doing it and what we've done in the past. So Carl Einhaus works for the Department of Higher Education. He's one of my colleagues at the department. Take it away for a minute, Carl.
Thank you, Angie. Hi, I'm Carl Einhaus, and I'm the Senior Director for Student Success in P12 Alignment. And one of the things I do is assist and work with the admissions directors throughout the state. And one of our proud newest traditions is free application day, which is today, as you've heard a number of times. And it's becoming a really strong growing tradition here. Last year, we more than doubled the number of applications that were received the previous year. We're hoping to be able to maintain that number of applications for this year. And we really feel like it's a great way for us to reach out to our Colorado residents to let them know that our institutions of higher education are doing what they can to keep higher education affordable. We know that this is a really good accessibility type of effort, whereas there might be some students who might not apply to an institution because of the application fee. And we want to take that barrier away. So if you haven't already and you're a senior in high school or you're a transfer student and you're looking to go to a four-year institution, definitely take advantage of free application day. And if you're going to a community college, like President Haney said, it's always free. So definitely take advantage of it anyways if you want to apply to a community college. Now we have instructions at the link that we have here that I posted in the chat box. That will have instructions for all the public four-year institutions. And we'll also
mention is around how do you pay for college? So many students who are bright or who want the opportunity, maybe they feel like they can't afford to. And so I want to switch it over, there you are, to Freddie, who also works at the Department of Higher Education, who's kind of our resident expert on financial aid, especially on FAFSA. And so Freddie, if you could share a little bit about FAFSA and why it's so important for high school to fill that out.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Chone. Thank you. Good to see everybody, my friends at Red Rocks and my friends at Colorado School of Mines. It's always great to see you all. Of course, I do want to share a couple of resources first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the different resources that we offer at the Department of Higher Ed. First is, if you want some basic information about financial aid, please check out our resource called My Colorado Journey at www.mycoloradojourney.com. And there's some great outcomes that students, both adult and traditional students, can work through to get some information on how they're going to plan, apply, and pay for college, whether that's a two-year credential or a four-year credential, or both, and even beyond. We also have some great information for basic, we'll say, touch up on the financial aid at the Colorado Department of Higher Education website as well. If you want to just understand a little bit more about what's available there, the types of aid, whether it's grant money, work study money, student employment money, student loans, or even scholarships. There's some great information there as well. You can find the same information at mycoloradojourney.com. We are always willing to help. If you do check yourself into finding some information out with My Colorado Journey and want to ask us some questions, please don't hesitate to do so. I will always be available to answer questions either individually, and we also offer webinars as well for training. So do keep an eye out. I'll be offering trainings weekly, starting next week on financial aid for professionals so they can work with their students across the state. And we'll also be hosting some smaller financial aid town halls, if you will, on how to go through the process of application and even troubleshooting some different questions with financial aid. Again, financial aid worked for me, and my goal is to make sure it helps those that are intended to do so with financial aid. So that's our goal. Thank you, Dr. Petroni.
Yeah, thanks, Freddie. And, you know, it's important if you have some special skill or quality that gets you a scholarship. I was fortunate to get an athletic scholarship to college. And so not everybody can do that. But if you've got some special skill, of course, you want to try to pursue a full ride, scholarship to that school. But the free application for federal student aid is so critical. It's called FAFSA. I'm sure you have heard of it. And I know in the school districts, you probably have like FAFSA night, or maybe some of the school counselors can talk about what you do to help their students with your FAFSA completion. Unfortunately, in Colorado, only about 47% of our students actually complete the FAFSA. What that means is we're leaving between $30 and $50 million of federal student aid on the table that we are not getting for our students. The students, FAFSA, the federal student aid, the maximum is about $6,200, $6,195 to be precise. So about $6,200, and that will pay for tuition at many of our schools, and especially our community colleges. And so you might not qualify for all, but you could qualify for some. So it's worth filling out that FAFSA for the federal student aid, which is not a payback. That's I won't say free money, but it's money that the federal government invests in our students to get that degree. So there's federal aid, but the FAFSA is also used for state aid and for institutional aid. So based on how you complete that form and what you qualify for, you can receive both federal aid, state aid, and institutional aid using just that one form. Who from the school district would like to just talk about what you guys are doing for FAFSA completion? I see Sonia, you unmuted, so you want to jump in first?
Yeah, I would love to. So I'm excited to share that last year we applied for and received a grant from the state to help with FAFSA completion. So that was something, a part of that, we created a FAFSA team at the district level that includes myself, Matt, another colleague at this level, and then a handful of school counselors that really help us plan, support, deliver, and provide resources for our counselors, our students, and their families around FAFSA completion. And one of the things that we created as internal support was a site for them to go to get access to different resources for them to share with their students and families. I think some of the things that I really, as I'm looking at it, as we were talking, I really wanted to lift up a couple of pieces of data that I thought was so helpful in us in conversations. And it's really around just the impact that the increase for students that actually go to college is significant when they've completed their FAFSA, and it's especially it's especially powerful among our students with low income or minority students. So I think that that's a good piece of data to know. I also know. Again, as of last year, that 90% of high school seniors who complete their FAFSA attend college directly after high school, compared to just 55% of seniors who do not complete. And then also, it clearly is a ticket to not just money from the state, but also scholarships, grants, and work studies. So I think it's good to know that there's other opportunities that are layered into the FAFSA completion that maybe not all families understand or know the high benefit. So some of the things we were able to do last year was offer some like north, central, south area opportunities for families to go and get help with FAFSA completion. We partnered with our higher ed institutions in the area. Red Rocks was one of them last year, and we're doing the same. I see that someone just popped in the info for this Saturday. So we just put out information as well to our families around Saturday. I think it's October 7th, November 14th, and December 12th. And maybe I should be letting someone from Red Rock share that, but that's one way this year we're kind of pivoting to support our families through the FAFSA completion, again, because we're trying to figure out a new environment and how to help keep them moving forward. So what I was referencing with Red Rocks is that they're doing events on those Saturdays to help families complete their FAFSA. So those are some things that we're doing this year, and I think kind of a highlight from what we did last year. We also provided training for our counselors just a few weeks ago, but also last year as well. So I think we're moving forward and excitingly, and I think that the grant really helped us do that.
Yeah, thanks for that. And we really would love to see Colorado increase the percent of students who are completing those FAFSA applications. Like I said, we have just under half of the students that are doing that, and we're just leaving so much money on the table that could really help students to make college more affordable. And so please do complete that FAFSA. Does anyone else want to speak to that from either the district or any of the schools? If you do, Lori, go ahead, Lori.
Hi, I'm happy to jump in. The FAFSA completion is so important. The FAFSA opened on October 1st. It's based off of your 2019 taxes. They have made doing the FAFSA so much easier than it used to be. And so we encourage all of our students, everyone who's interested in going to college, to get that FAFSA done as soon as you can. The sooner you get it done, the easier institution to process all of the paperwork on the back end and reach out to you and let you know what it looks like for you and what the cost will be, or maybe no cost at all. So yes, get those FAFSAs done. All the statistics around students who get the FAFSA done are completely accurate. We see it every day. The likelihood of students going to college is so much higher once you have that completed. So, and any of the institutions, I know mine, we are happy to help students and their families walk through that process. We're always there and available for any students who may be struggling to get it done. It can be a little overwhelming at times, and so working with a professional to make sure that you're doing it right the first time around is really important. So.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lori. I remember when my brother did it for his kids, and after the first one, the other two were easy, he said. But that first one, it does take a little bit of attention. But here's the good thing. A lot of parents are still working from home. So since they're already home and a lot of students are still at home, you guys can sit down at the dinner table and have a project where you complete that FAFSA together. So they did try to make it a little bit easier to complete. So that's good. We still want to make it easy, even easier. And I would love to see the federal government double the FAFSA so that it's not just 6,200, but maybe 1,200. 12,000. That would be really make college even more accessible for many students. So those are one of the things that we are hoping for the federal government. We also did something at the state level. And so at the state level, we have, when is the deadline? I think it's in June. I think FAFSA goes from October 1st to the end of June, perhaps. I see Megan shaking her head. So you've got time. I will say this, it technically is first come, first serve, but so many students across the country do not complete that FAFSA that they're not going to be running out of money anytime soon. However, since it's first come, first serve, I would go ahead and try to get it done as soon as possible. So get that in so that you have that information for those institutions to consider what kind of financial aid package you need. In Colorado, we have been very committed to students who are not documented, but they're our students. They've been in Colorado high schools for at least 3 years. They've graduated from Colorado high schools. And a few years ago, the legislature passed the bill to allow them to get in-state tuition, to qualify for in-state tuition. And then last year, they passed a bill that allows them to get financial aid, state-based financial aid. They're not eligible for the FAFSA, so we created a new form called CASFA, and that's the Colorado application for student financial aid, the CASFA. Thank you, Megan. And so this is a brand new application for your students who are undocumented and do not qualify for FAFSA, but want to be able to make college affordable in Colorado. So please pass this along to those students, primarily the ascent students, right? Ascent or asset? Asset students, okay. And so please pass that along to the students who might be needing some financial assistance to go to college. The link is in there. I know, say Michael's not going to be available till 4, is that right? And so, so I might let the high schools, so the principal at Sandy Lake and those counselors and district level folks talk about concurrent enrollment and what kinds of opportunities do high school students have to earn college credit while they're in high school. So we talked a little bit about IB and a little bit about AP, but what about concurrent enrollment? Who wants to say a few things about that? Looks like
I can jump in, and Todd can.
Okay.
So Todd can definitely jump in for Stony Lake. So I'm Marta Messer, I'm the Director for Choice Programming, and we support concurrent enrollment programming throughout our district. And I would just want to make sure that all kids know that this is a great opportunity to not only understand what it's like to take a college level class, to feel more prepared, but it also saves you a ton of money. So in fact, this past year, we had over $3.5 million in savings for students and families in taking concurrent enrollment in Jeffco. The great news is that the majority of our high schools in Jeffco have some type of concurrent enrollment opportunity. Some of those are through Career and Tech Ed, which helps you determine which type of career and next option you want to go for. Some of those are actually guaranteed transfer, which gets you a leg up on your freshman year of college. So thinking about those great opportunities and how important it is to experience that and jump in. And then I'm going to kind of loop in Todd Rago here, because he has been doing a fantastic job at his school of not only championing things like IB and other programs, but really increasing his opportunity to have kids earn concurrent enrollment college credit while they're in his school. So Todd, do you want to add?
Absolutely. And I can't believe I forgot this before, but we currently are in the process of applying with Red Rocks to be a second site school. And because we have over 30 credit hours to offer our kids. So English, photography, French, German, biology. So the list just keeps increasing. And again, that's because a credit to my incredible staff who, has furthered their education and offers these wonderful courses to our kids. So I will also like to loop back a little bit with what our counseling department does to get kids into the FAFSA and writing college essays. There are so many resources available to seniors and juniors and underclassmen out there. Please reach out to your counselor. What can I do now? What kind of webinar can I look at? What kind of information can I get right now? That information's there. And in this remote environment we're having, we're not seeing as much participation. So please reach out to your counselors. But back to concurrent enrollment. We also have a little bit of See to Succeed still going on with dual enrollment types of pieces. There are so many opportunities. You just really have to do your research, do your homework, and have a plan. I heard that earlier. Have that plan. Go through that course catalog. What do you want to do? What do you want to look at? Talk to those teachers because they're here every single day. So it shouldn't be a mystery. It's not a mystery, but I know it is intimidating on a lot of different levels for parents and for our juniors in schools. So we're here to help. Don't ever hesitate to ask whoever it is, because everybody wants to talk about education because we're educators. We love it. And we are looking forward to being that second site and offering more and more courses because it's the right thing to do for kids. As we're seeing the new era of education and some of the restrictions around seat time and all those types of things are easing themselves, it's getting a lot easier for our students to have accessibility into the college environment. And it's wonderful to have the free days, and it's wonderful to have so much help around it. We could use a whole lot more help with free education, but we can't go there today. But opportunities for kids, that's what we're about here.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Anyone else want to speak to that, to speak directly to concurrent enrollment besides Michael? Because Michael, I see you joined us, and I'm going to come to you in just a minute. But anyone else from the district or from any of the schools want to talk about concurrent enrollment? One of the things that was mentioned earlier by President Haney was the idea that there are some students who can graduate from high school and graduate essentially with an associate's degree at the same time. One weekend is the high school commencement, and the next weekend could be the college, the community college commencement. And so there are programs and there are ways, if you start early, that you can actually graduate with both. And so, but we do have some great new statistics, because we have just recently released in conjunction with the Colorado Department of Education, CDE. Oh, wow, you're fast, Michael. The concurrent enrollment report, and Michael Vante, who's one of our senior directors in the department, was one of the authors of that report. So Michael, do you want to share a little bit of the statistics about how many students, what the trend lines are, and why it's such a good thing?
Sure, everyone. Well, thanks so much for having us. Michael Vante, I'm the Senior Director of Research and Data Governance at CDHE. And yes, we actually just released our annual concurrent enrollment reports, which provides a little bit of a snapshot of where we are in terms of Colorado's concurrent enrollment program. So being able to see what that uptake of the program has been statewide, and also some very exciting research findings that we have seen. I'll talk a little bit, and then I'll put a whole host of things in the chat, so bear with me there. being able to look at dual enrollment in general within Colorado, and for many of you who kind of work in this space, you'll know that we have some buckets of different types of dual enrollment. We have the state's Concurrent Enrollment program, of course. We have the Ascent program, acting as that fifth year for students, and then also various other types of dual enrollment programs like CU Succeed, or students who just of their own volition are taking some sort of post-secondary course. So with that broad umbrella of all those different types of dual enrollment opportunities, we had over 50,000 students in the 18-19 academic year take one of those different types of experiences, which is extremely exciting. And in looking at this by high school graduating class, I think we were around 38% of high school graduates took some sort of dual enrollment during their high school experience. So extremely powerful and extremely exciting to be able to put those experiences in the hands of students, and specifically for the state's Concurrent Enrollment program, being able to give students those experiences, that credit that's transferable, and that it is low to no cost to them. And so being able to really link to that program and provide all the supports we can on that front, I think is, again, very exciting. One of the links that I did put into the chat is a new resource that our friends over at CDE put out that really does summarize a lot of the concurrent enrollment resources to students, to families, and to professionals as well. So really having that single spot to go to access a lot of this information. I think, and I hope will be really helpful. My colleague Carl Einhaus has been instrumental in a lot of that work. So being able to really make that a resource for everyone. I'll also say, in terms of the research on all of this, we over the past several years have been looking into the effect that concurrent enrollment can have in terms of post-secondary success and also workforce success. So a few years ago, we received a grant from the Institute of Education Sciences at the U.S. Department of Education, and got another grant from the Colorado Evaluation and Action Lab to be able to really lean into this work. And via our data sharing agreements with CDE and CDLE, being able to get certain data elements in a well-governed, responsible way to tell this story, and to really do this in a great way to tell the story of success because of concurrent enrollment. And looking at those findings, knitting together a lot of those data, we found that students who do concurrent enrollment have much higher matriculation rates onto post-secondary compared to those who don't, 77% compared to 52%. They're very big, very impactful. Additionally, looking at whether students complete a 2-year degree in 2 years, a 4-year degree in 4 years, or a 4-year degree in 3 years, and seeing much better outcomes for students who did concurrent enrollment comparatively to those who did not. And also the workforce angle, seeing much better wage outcomes for students who did concurrent enrollment. And one of the things that we did as part of this study was we attempted to get at that selection bias. A lot of people say, oh, well, concurrent enrollment students are already high achieving. Of course, they're going to do well in post-secondary, but by controlling for various variables like 9th grade test scores, like race ethnicity status, like ELL status, like FRL status, being able to control for those variables, that's what we did in the analysis, and we still saw those fantastic outcomes. And we saw those outcomes, or similar outcomes, regardless of income, race, ethnicity, and other factors. So really seeing concurrent enrollment as a way to level that playing field and provide those supports to students so that they have success and nothing holds them back. And so very excited about that and how it can help us in terms of erasing equity gaps for students and providing avenues to affordability. So I'll put a whole host of links in the chat to some of those resources I just said, but always happy to take questions.
Great, thank you, Michael. And pretty soon we're going to open it up to Q&A, so stay tuned. But one of the things that I really like about what we're seeing in concurrent enrollment is the trend lines where some of our students of color are participating at greater levels, because we want to make sure that every student has access to those college level courses, both for a few things that I think either Sonia or Marna, either of you two, or maybe both of you mentioned, that this gives students an opportunity to kind of experiment to see, can I actually succeed in a college level class? So it helps them build some confidence and in addition to helping them to reduce the cost for those classes. And so it has so many benefits, and we want to make sure that we expand that to all of our students in our high schools to have access to that concurrent enrollment. So good trend line data coming out of our studies around concurrent enrollment. And my goodness, this is another place where the colleges are really pulling their weight, so to speak, because they have agreed to have many of those courses transfer. It's a guaranteed transfer, and so students are getting college credit without having to pay the cost of those. So it works out really well for everyone involved. One of the things, by the way, in terms of concurrent enrollment, my position as the executive director of the Department of Higher Education, I get to sit in the governor's cabinet, not in like physically in his cabinet, I'm on his cabinet, one of those things. Anyway, and so the governor has some very bold goals for the state of Colorado that he ran on about 2.5 years ago or so, but he also has for higher education. And two of the most important goals for him is that college is affordable, because that affordability then leads to greater access. And so affordability is key. And secondly, that students are prepared for the workforce of the future. And so as we heard earlier from Dr. Johnson, president at Mines, that the whole aerospace and the sciences, the STEM fields, that's critical for the future of the workplace of the future. As we know at Red Rocks Community College, many of their programs, there's so many programs there that are preparing students for the workforce of the future. And one of the things that we're doing at the department is we're encouraging all degree programs in the state, every degree program, to have some work-based experience so that students can, early in their collegiate career, they can get a taste of, is this something that I actually want to pursue? Unfortunately, what has happened in the past is that students get to their junior year, they do a junior year internship, and they realize, oh my God, why am I majoring in this? I don't even like people. Why do I want to be a teacher? So that was a joke. But anyway, but they learn too late in their career whether or not they are suited for and they are passionate about that particular field of study. So we want to do that early, and we want to make sure every degree program has that. So that's how the department is working together with our institutions to say, how do we make sure students get exposure to the workforce so that they can really be ready and prepared for the workforce of the future. So lots of interesting initiatives that are happening, both to ensure access, affordability, to give you credits, to make it easier by completing that FAFSA so that you can qualify for all kinds of aid and assistance. All of that is before you have to think about a student loan. Only half of the students in Colorado actually have a student loan. And so we want to reduce that number. For the most part, most students are graduating with very little student loan debt. And that's the goal. We want to make sure that we can do those things up ahead of time so that you can afford the college of your choice. In terms of one last thing before we turn it over to Q&A, we also have done our second return on investment report. And that shows you essentially what we were just saying. What is the return? Why should I go to college? Why should I get an associate's degree? Why should I get a certificate? What is the return on that investment? Michael, I'm going to turn to you once again. If you could just say a little bit about that ROI, and maybe we can put that link in the chat as well.
Sure, absolutely. I'll throw the link to the report and also some of our tools in there too. Being able to really show that return on investment for various education and training programs throughout Colorado. So as Dr. Pachoni mentioned, this is our second report that we just recently put out this summer, being able to show what does it look like in terms of time and credits to degree for certain programs at certain institutions. And also because of the data sharing and data linkages that we have with our partners in labor and employment, being able to show those median 1, 5, and 10-year earnings outcomes for various different programs. And so being able to provide all of that to an individual as they're making their decisions about what they want to do and where they want to go. I think is extremely powerful and very exciting. I'll also say part of all of this is really incorporating some of those tools around ROI into our My Colorado Journey platform. So really being able to elevate that, you might have talked about it a little bit, but being able to say, I'm a student, I'm a high school student, maybe I'm an adult student, being able to go and get plugged back into all of the various education and training providers that are out there. What's going to work best for me? What's going to meet my needs? And what can I be set up for success to do? And so being able to leverage My Colorado Journey and all of the outcomes that are there, all the modules that people can complete, I think really do support that long-term success of an individual to meet them where they are and really customize what they need at that moment in time.
One of the things I like about the ROI report is that you can compare our institutions. So you can say, if I go to Fort Lewis and I get a degree in psychology, how much is the average earnings 1 year out, 5 years out, 10 years out? And how does that compare if I were to get a degree in psychology from, let's say, CSU Fort Collins? And so it gives a lot of information to the parents and students to say, what's going to be the best place for me to go? Of course, have to say, we all know that probably the greatest return on investment comes from School of Mines because of its very specific engineering and sciences and math. Those are our highest incomes in the marketplace. And so that's a good one. But probably overall, one of the best degrees is a Bachelor's of Applied Science, which is a 2-year degree that you can get from a community college. If you are interested in getting into the workforce right away and earning good money in those first years out of a community college, that's probably the best return on the investment. Over time, of course, the bachelor's degree always has the highest return on investment, but for immediacy, and everybody has a different family situation and living situation, the 2-year Bachelor's of Applied Science is has the most highest return on investment, the quickest. Something like that, if I said it right. So, so there's lots of different avenues you can take that will give you a return. The key is finish what you start. Complete the 1-year certificate, complete the 2-year associates, complete your 4-year. We have, unfortunately, in our entire population in Colorado, nearly 1,600,000 adults with some college, but no degree. People who started college but did not finish. Unfortunately, that means they are not able to maximize their earning potential. Some of those adults had student loans. And so now you've got maybe 3 years of student loan, nothing to show for it except that bill. So please pick your path. It's your future. Let it be in our state. And there are ways that we can help you succeed. That's the key, is to complete the path you choose. So I want to close up that part of our presentations with lots of great folks on this call, and they are going to be now available to answer any questions that you might have. And so we don't really have a raise your hand icon in here, so I'm just going to have to look and see if you unmute yourself for a call, or if you want to just jump in there with a question for any of the folks on this panel. So who's going to start us off with a question? Oh, you can also put questions in the chat. Thanks, Megan. All right. Who's got a question? Who wants to start us off with a question? I see Christy Wilkins. Christy, can you perhaps unmute yourself and ask that question?
I'm unmuted.
All right. Thanks, Christy.
Sure. No, I was just curious. I'm from the old school, so I'm only familiar with the AP courses. You're talking a lot about concurrent and dual enrollment, and I'm curious, for those courses, is there a similar test required like AP, or is it essentially considered a college level course?
Maybe Sonia, do you want to take that, or who else is, or Carl, do you want to? Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I know that Sonia can too, but yes, they are different. Both can result in college credit, but concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment programs are actually college courses. They're the exact same courses. that you would receive on a college campus. An AP, you follow the specific curriculum for the AP subject matter in the high school, and then you take the exam. And depending upon the score that you receive on the exam, you may be able to receive college credit. I think it might be useful to know that in the state of Colorado, the public institutions have come to an agreement in terms of a common score for the exams that students receive on AP and IB exams, so that if you receive like a 3 in AP English, you'll get course credit at each public institution throughout the state. And that's true for many other different subjects too. But yes, they are separate things, but they both can result in college level credit.
Yeah, and Christy, it would be whatever score you get on that final exam on that college course. It's just like if you were going to college. And in fact, in our concurrent enrollment, some of those courses are offered at the high school, taught by qualified high school teachers, and some are taught actually on the community college campus. And so you could be a high school student, but maybe go down the block. I know from CSU Fort Collins, you can go right down to Front Range, and if you live close to Red Rocks, you can literally go on the Red Rocks campus to take a college course.
Okay.
So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I guess just one clarification. So you're saying that all Colorado schools have accepted a minimum of a 3 for AP credit?
On most subjects, that's correct. Not every AP subject, but the most taken AP subjects, they have agreed to a minimum score of a 3 or higher.
Okay, that's good. That's great. Thank you.
Marna, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just going to add in the same thing that you just said about we have teachers that are actually on the high school campus that are adjunct professors. So they get approved through, say, Red Rocks or ACC or et cetera, so that they can offer that high quality course. And they make sure that they meet the competencies that are required. So that's why it meets the same college coursework. And so when kids take it, they get that credit. It's pretty awesome. And it's free.
And that's the best part. Yes. Other questions? Thank you for that question, Christy. Other questions?
I have a quick question about that same thing. So you guys have talked about credit for a student for an AP course and also concurrent enrollment. So for example, if I'm taking an AP AB calculus class, right? And it has an offering for concurrent enrollment, but it also has an AP test that's taken at the end. What is the best way for my student to get credit that is most transferable?
That is a great question, Sarah, and I can't answer it. So who can answer that question? That's a great one.
I'm going to put a link in this chat box in a second that will bring you to our transfer site. And it has information about how courses and credits can transfer amongst all the public institutions in Colorado. And it really depends on the student situation in terms of how to make the best decision in terms of what they should pursue. I know that there are some students that believe that if they want to go to a college or institution outside of Colorado, heaven forbid, that they should take an AP exam or IB exam. But concurrent enrollment is a really great choice because it can not only give you college level credit, but it gives you experience in terms of what it's like to be in college. And it gives, I think, students some confidence ahead of time to let them know that they can be successful in higher education. That it's not this big boogeyman kind of an experience, but it's something that they can be successful in. So I will put the link to our transfer information in the chat box so you can explore all of the information that we have for transfer for AP and IB and college courses.
Great, and thanks for that, Carl. And maybe Marna, you can say, or even Lori, is it more advantageous if you're taking the same course, it's an AP Calc, to get college credit as concurrent enrollment, or to take the AP exam? What is the college? Maybe what does the college feel? Or Marna, why don't you start us off?
I have a bias, so I'm just going to say that right now. But one thing that I always encourage is if you go to our post-secondary opportunities part of our programs on top of the Jeffco, if you go to Jeffco website, programs, post-secondary opportunities, you'll see on there a comparison between concurrent, dual, AP, so you have some idea about the connection between those three. I always say that for students, you're learning high quality, say, calculus, but if you think about like the opportunity to get the actual credit, if you just rely on the AP and you have a bad day on a certain test or something like that, you haven't like really demonstrated all of your learning, because it's really just about that end test. Versus if you do think about your concurrent enrollment, you're demonstrating learning with your instructor. You still have finals, those are still critical, but you've also demonstrated that learning along the way. And so we always think about like that, obviously if you're going in state, like go for that concurrent enrollment. It's a great opportunity.
Thanks for that, Monica. Lori, go ahead.
I'm actually going to turn this one over to our Executive Director of Admissions, Dale. He gets to see these all the time, so I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about this.
All right, go Dale.
Hi, everyone. One of the things we look at is really our students taking advantage of the tools they have at their particular school. Even across Jeffco, some schools have gone kind of all in on AP. Other schools have gone all in on IB, and other schools are really focusing on concurrent. We understand that, and so we take that into account. And so we like to see students challenging themselves in any of those formats. And so we're not really partial to one over the other specifically. We just like to say, okay, if a school is loaded up with AP, is a student taking advantage of those AP? If a school like Stanley Lake has gone all in IB, well, those are fantastic preparatory programs, and we love to see that. And if a school has a lot of concurrent enrollment courses and that's the best path for that student, then we're excited about that path too. So it's really all about challenging the student, challenging themselves, stretching themselves academically. And I think any of those paths, to Marna's point, for a lot of students, concurrent enrollment makes the most sense. And any of those paths that allows them to pick up college courses in high school and get high school credit and college credit is a path to a less expensive trail through college. And that's a good thing. That's a positive. They're saving time and money. It's helping them graduate on time, a higher likelihood of that. So we are all about any of those paths for students.
Great, thanks for that, Dale. And Sarah, if your student is maybe not a great standardized test taker, then that might be a better choice to do it through concurrent enrollment. Because as Marna said, that student can demonstrate their understanding over a longer period of time than just one single test. So
I'm going to throw a plug in for the school counselor here as well. I think it would be really important to work with your school counselor. These guys made great points in that regard. But your school counselor will really individualize that with that student and that family and help you make that decision.
Thanks.
All right, this is going to sound really weird, but do you have to choose one or the other, or can you do concurrent enrollment and still take an AP test?
I see a lot of folks shaking their head yes, meaning yes, you can do both.
Yes, you can do both depending upon, sorry, Lori. But yeah, you can do both usually. Well, not usually, it depends on the school. And I think it might be a really good opportunity for one of our high school folk who are on the phone call to see if they have that type of opportunity at their schools. But an opportunity sometimes does exist where a student is taking a college level course, like through concurrent enrollment, and it's also an AP course as well, where they can take the exam at the end of it. So those opportunities do exist.
Great.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Sarah. That was great. Who else has a question? What other questions do you have? Elena. Elena, you can unmute yourself if you like. I suppose some people write the question because they don't want to say it, but this one is for Red Rocks. If I already took Red Rocks concurrent enrollment courses in my junior year and now applying to Red Rocks as a senior in high school, do I apply as a new student or a returning student? Good question.
I can answer that. For admissions purposes, if a student's only college level coursework that they took was before high school graduation, as in through concurrent enrollment or dual enrollment, then that student will be considered a first-time student. So you would not be considered a transfer student, but a first-time student.
And not a returning student either.
Not a returning student, not a transfer student, but a first-time student.
Got it.
All college coursework taken before high school graduation isn't considered in that definition for first-time student. However, definitely want to clarify, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have courses transferring in, because you definitely can and most likely will.
Great. Thanks for that, Carl. Thanks, Elena. Who else? All right. Who else has a question? We've got time for a couple more questions. Or if there's something that we've missed in terms of that, the whole notion of choosing a post-secondary path, or maybe you've remembered there's a couple of things that maybe your school specializes in that you didn't get to say initially. And so if anybody wants to make some closing comments, yeah, Dr. Haney.
Well, I just wanted to put in a plug for career services, both at the high school level as well as the college level. So we have, when people are unsure as to what their future could look like, we have all sorts of support services that can help them make that decision. We know that students come in oftentimes taking that first semester having no clue what they want to do. So I would put in a plug. Go see career services, advisors. We are here to help you make those decisions. And that's across to all of our institutions.
That's great. Thank you for that. Who else? Any kind of, yeah, Lisa Fowler. Mm-hmm.
I put this in the chat, but I was just going to say too that because our applications are free, we're doing free transcripts the whole month of October for students who are finishing at Red Rocks and transferring on. And we're also doing, for any students that apply to the college this week, free career assessments. So all this week, complete battery of career assessments for free if you apply to Red Rocks.
Wow, that's fantastic. Wow, make sure that we get those links and stuff so that we can advertise that on our social media as well. That's what a great service that you're providing for students. So wonderful.
Will do.
Lori.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, earlier you had asked what students should be doing right now. And I just wanted to encourage students to, it's really difficult right now. And I know that things are not available as they normally are. And these times are challenging for all students. But I would encourage students to get as involved as possible with their college of their choice, to make sure that they're signing up for information sessions, to make sure that they are doing, even if it's a virtual campus tour, do as much as you can and don't stop your progress to go to school. Pick a few different institutions if you want to, but make sure that you're staying engaged in the process, because it's when you lose that momentum and that steam, when you don't have a plan, things sometimes unwind, and it's really easy to get distracted with life. But if you make a plan and you keep going, there are people who can help you along the way, and we're all here and ready to take students and in the doors. And like you said earlier, Dr. Tony, it is in some ways, it may seem intimidating and like it's impossible, but it's not. And we're here to support students through the process, even when it seems overwhelming and somewhat impossible during these times. The other thing I would say too is, if you're applying for institutions that like at Mines, we say that the essay is optional, don't make it optional. Tell us your story. Make sure you take the time to write. Tell us who you are. Tell us the challenges you've had. Tell us about your senior year. That itself is a challenge, and I'm sure that you've all faced some challenges with that. So, and then, and also, just making sure that students are still taking the opportunities that come their way to show that even during these difficult times and when things have seemed impossible, if they have the ability to be successful, take on the extra challenge, demonstrate that through their application, because we want to see those things. And we know that students are facing unprecedented times, but it's always good for students to be able to demonstrate that wherever possible.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lori. And, you know, in the past, I would have said, I'm a big fan of a gap year, of doing something that's maybe humanitarian or going overseas and doing something that's a special experience. But boy, oh boy, with COVID-19 out there, there's not a lot of opportunities for a truly meaningful gap year. We do still have City Year in Denver, and there are still some ways that you can volunteer if that's what you want to do. But like you, I would not encourage students to just sit home and do nothing, or sit home and get a part-time job, because unfortunately, the momentum that you mentioned, Lori, that momentum will carry you through. And if you stop out, the chances of you restarting are kind of slim to none. And unfortunately, we have too many in Colorado who did stop out and didn't ever complete. And so my encouragement as well is to take that next step. And of course, today is free application day, so no excuse there. Every day is free application day for our community colleges, so no obstacle there. And take the next step and continue your path. Marna, you were going to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to add just a couple of things for all of our students. I just encourage you to take a college course while you're in high school. Take it when you get that opportunity, whether it's AP, it's IP, concurrent enrollment. Take it so that you understand what it's like. But then also work with your counselors. So I'm jumping in on Sonia's thing. So I would just tell you, like, work with your counselor to figure out what's available, what's out there, what options there are. Many of our schools have career and college fairs. Bring a list of questions. Think through some of those questions with your counselors, with other people, and go to those fairs and ask every single question to figure out what you like, what options are there, etc. So sorry, Sonia, I just had to jump in.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Marna. I was gonna hop in too and put a plug in for those career conversations. So the American School Counselor Association national model is what counselors use to guide their work. And it's based in the ASCA Mindsets and Behaviors for Student Success, K-12 college and career readiness standards. So we are trained to support these conversations with our students and our staff and our community and our families. And a tool, if you're, whether you're a student or a parent or a community member, if you're wanting to engage our youth in these conversations, there's a link in the chat for career conversations where you can look at some of those questions and just prompt conversations with students. And it's for high school, middle school, or elementary. I mean, it kind of crosses the whole gamut. So yes, absolutely. Counselors are here to support you in this process. Again, our career and academic planning process really kind of brings together all of the things we've been talking about, and how do we really scaffold our students from middle school through high school and beyond, and supporting them in what their career goals are. So finding out what career they want to pursue, what program or experience gets them to that, and then finding the college or whatever is the best fit to be able to move forward with that. So yes, we can all, it's a all hands on deck kind of thing. So
right. And the good thing is that we are all committed to your success. And there are a few times in your life when everyone around you is committed to your success. And this is one of them. When you are making that transition from high school to your post-secondary career or your post-secondary choice, we are all committed to your success. So take advantage of all of the assistance that is available to you at the high school and also at the colleges of your choice. I believe, and Carl, maybe you can verify this for me, but I believe that this next round of applications, we also have the ACT and SAT are optional. Is that right, for admissions, or is it not at all? Tell me about.
Yeah, for the high school graduating class of 2021, which are our current seniors, it is optional for them to submit their SAT or ACT scores if they want to. Mm-hmm. So it's not a requirement. And this was done for 1 year because these are the students who would have taken the SAT last year when they were juniors, but as you know, they were canceled. And so we're looking to see how things are impacted this year for testing as well. So, but right now, it is a 1 year waiver for the high school graduating class of 21.
Great, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Dale.
Thanks, I'd just love to jump in. We, most of the schools now have taken an extra step. I'm proud to say at Mines, we were one of the first to take an extra step to make sure that not only are we test optional for admissions, but we are also test optional for our merit scholarships for the fall 2021. So that's two separate processes, both very important. And in a lot of cases, schools across the country, they leave that second half off, and it really lowers the true opportunity for students. You know, there's been a lot of discussion with our peer institutions across the state, and the institutions, when we say test optional, we mean that it is not going to hurt you if you do not submit a test score. We understand it's almost impossible to get a test at this point. We've already heard where some students have horror stories of 3 and 4 testing dates being canceled at different locations. So it's truly what we're calling a do no harm approach. So whether students send along a test score or choose not to, it does not hurt them in any way.
That's fantastic. That, you know, and again, kudos to the institutions for that kind of agility and flexibility, and really just grace, if you will, because we're in this crazy time. And so, you know, thank you and the other institutions for doing that. We have resources. There's a ton of resources in the chat. I hope that you've been able to capture those. I know for most of you, if you go to that chat and you hit that ellipsis, those 3 dots on the side where it says, if you hover over it, it should say more, and then you can actually copy the chat. So you'll have all of those links as well. Plus, you can go to our highered.colorado.gov. That's our website for higher education, and to mycoloradojourney.com, I believe, right? Is it .com, Michael, Freddie? mycoloradojourney.com, and that'll help you to navigate that journey for your career path. And then all of the institutions have resources on their websites as well. So I want to thank the presidents and the staff from the institutions and from the district. Thank you, Principal Rago. Did I say it right? Rago. Okay. I hope. Anyway, so thank you all for being here. I hope that this was valuable to you and that you got some great information. And we hope that you will pursue that post-secondary career of your choice here in Colorado. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You bet. We'll see you next time.